Welcome to the You Two Scare Me podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Feliz.
And I'm Andi, and we are coming to you from Key West, Florida. Today, we are bringing you a special bonus episode.
Pew, pew.
Woo!
You may have seen on our social media that a few weeks ago we had the opportunity to meet and spend time with a well-known personality in the paranormal world, Aaron Sagers, host of Travel Channel's Paranormal Caught on Camera, Netflix's 28 Days Haunted, and the Talking Strange podcast.
It was so awesome.
It was so awesome.
We sat down to interview Aaron and record this bonus episode at the Saint Hotel in Key West, a beautiful boutique hotel with an interesting history and some spooky occurrences of its own. Settle in and join us as we dive into this bonus episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast.
Shall we dive in? Welcome to the You Two Scare Me podcast. I'm Feliz.
And I'm Andi.
And we are coming to you from the Saint Hotel. And we have a very special guest with us today.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi.
This is Aaron Sagers. For those of you who don't know, he is the host of a very popular show on the Travel Channel called Paranormal Caught on Camera. Hi, Aaron. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I guess I'm a host. There's a lot of us on the show, but yeah. And then also I do a show on Netflix called 28 Days Haunted. And then the Talking Strange podcast.
Yeah.
So we had a very interesting way that we met. So our friend Amy works at the Hemingway House. She's a tour guide there. And Aaron came on a tour. And can you tell us a little bit about kind of what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's, I've been through Key West many times. I love Key West. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, and I live in New York City and split time between New York and Orlando. But I'm down here a fair bit, and even though I've been on a tour at the Hemingway House a handful of times, decided to go through again, and because I love the space. Amy, who was the tour guide, I am just like a nerd, always trying to get spooky stories out of people, and she did such a lovely job with the tour that I'm like, hey, so I know this is not a ghost tour, and let's kind of like keep it on the down low, but, you know, real deal. Like, what's the skinny? What have you heard? Because I've heard a lot of stories out of the Hemingway House. I know they don't like to promote it, but I have heard a lot of stories about potential ghosty stuff in there. So I just wanted to get Amy's take on it. And by talking to Amy, she's like, well, there's this podcast in town, and then here we go. We got connected with you, and then we met up, had a chat, and here we are.
It has been really awesome.
Yes.
So you said that you spent a lot of time here. Can you tell us about some of the other things you've been doing when you're down here besides the typical Key West activities?
Well, I mean, I like the typical Key West activities too, don't get me wrong. But, well, I would say one of my most peaceful things to do is I do love kayaking, so I like to drop in more up in like Geiger Key area and just spend several hours out there kayaking. I do love it. But other than that, I'm always researching stories, talking to folks about what spooky activities they've heard of. I always like looking into history. And then this time while I've been down here, I've been just working on a book project, in addition to, you know, working in the morning and then go enjoying myself a little bit in the afternoon and the evenings. But, yeah, and then I have a bunch of friends in town too, so I like to meet up with folks in town.
Very cool.
And I've yet to do this time. I've done paranormal investigations throughout Key West. This time, I've yet to do that, so.
Oh, there's still time.
Still time, I know, yeah, I know.
So you asked us
Yes.
about our spooky origin story. What is yours?
I'll tell you that it's funny because there's a couple different answers that I give, and it's not like false answers, it's just sort of whatever comes to mind at times. But growing up in Orlando, I was, and I still am, a big pop culture nerd, so I would read comic books, watch sci-fi movies. I've heard that, I know you're a Star Wars nerd. I hear you're a Star Wars nerd.
Oh,
Well,
I've heard that.
And And so it'd be Star Wars, but it'd also be horror movies. It'd be Twilight Zone. It would be reading like the Time Life Mysteries of the Unexplained books. And so all that stuff was like seeped into me. And also I was reading ghost stories, Hans Holzer, all of that. But there was weird stuff going on in my childhood home. And what was funny was I'm the youngest of 5 kids. I was raised Catholic, and there's this weird stuff happening, but some of the stories weren't really shared until later in life as we were all grown up and then started talking about the weird stuff that was crossing over. And, you know, hearing scratches in the walls, weird smells that did not have any source, a lot of like feelings of unease. I saw like a strange, funky, shadowy figure in the threshold of my childhood bedroom, and I shared that with one of my brothers, and I was on the bottom bunk and woke up and saw something. I was just like frozen in fear. And then later on, when I was probably a preteen, was home alone. I was big enough to, you know, like, oh, I'm the big boy, right? I could stay home alone while mom and dad is out. And I think all of my siblings had moved out of the house at that point. Hearing something come in from seemed like the garage door that was then connected to like the kitchen and then the dining room and all of that. And in the front room where I was up late watching TV, hearing shuffling around in the kitchen and moving of glasses and all this strange stuff. And being on the couch watching TV, but then suddenly frozen in fear and then not moving until the door starts unlocking in the front door and my parents come back home, just being terrified. So there's stuff like that. And I still don't even truly have an origin understanding of what all that was, but I think that kind of sit with me a lot. That made a mark. And then professionally, I've became a journalist. I went and worked in newspapers and magazines. And then at the beginning of paranormal TV shows like Ghost Hunters and the Paranormal State and Ghost Adventures, and then also at the same time at the rise of social media, I started writing about that stuff and commenting on that stuff, and that got me some attention. And then that led to me launching what was called a paranormal pop culture website, and then commenting on sort of entertainment of the unexplained. And then that led to the TV stuff. So yeah, it's just like everything kind of builds over time, you know. And then it's really only as I've gotten older and look back, I'm like, oh, okay, that was the building block for that. And then that set up this. And then that led to that. And then things start making more sense in retrospect, I guess.
Yeah. What a journey. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, hopefully it's not over yet.
Also, I've been sitting here listening to your spooky story trying to be like pretty cool about that, but that's terrifying for a kid. I mean, I was just thinking about you being a kid and experiencing all those things. That's really scary stuff.
Yeah, it's weird because I think on some level, and I don't tell everybody that story, and I've only really talked about it a couple times when I've done like presentations at events and things around the world. And I think when you're in the business of collecting stories like you guys are doing with the podcast, and you're hearing what other people share, it's exciting and it's thrilling and it's thought-provoking. And maybe by hearing all those stories, it helps me think about and process my own stories a little bit more. But weirdly enough, I also feel somewhat removed from it, because it's like, oh, that was the stuff that happened to me. Or that's my personal file. You know, I'm putting that away. Tell me your stories. You know, so I sometimes don't always think about my story in relation to the other stories that I collect. There's some
a little compartmental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, interesting. So with all of your travels around the world and all of the super cool and haunted places you visited, is there a place or an experience that has stuck with you as either be very unsettling or really made you question things in a different sort of way?
Oh, constantly. I've had a lot. I've had a lot of experiences, and I think when it becomes such a part of your job that you are traveling a lot, you start kind of exposing yourself to more and encountering more. I had a weird experience which kind of launched me on this professionally. at Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, and I was there. I wasn't operating as a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator, and yet there was this experience that I was passing by this cell. And have either of you been there, been to Eastern State? I know from Pittsburgh you may have been over there.
Other side,
other part that we won't talk about, right? That's Eagles country. So, yeah, we're keeping it to the Steelers side. Okay, fair enough. But it's a gorgeous building. It's gorgeous. It means a lot to me. I've had a lot of just personal moments there that were significant, and then also spooky moments at Eastern State Penitentiary. I've filmed there a lot, so it's kind of a place I've gone back to a lot. But the first time I was there, there was this moment where, long story short, I saw what looked like a shadow figure pacing back and forth at the back end of a cell, and the cell was somewhat closed off. It had a barrier about hip height, so you wouldn't enter it because of like structural integrity. And I did the thing where I was like, arr. Like, you know, I think this stuff's out there. I don't always know what I believe, but I have ideas and theories and whatnot. I'm like, all right, if something's back there, come closer. Pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then it stops, and then it rushed me, and my field of vision went entirely black. I jumped back, let out some choice expletives, and then I was like, whoa. And then I looked, and I saw this thing pacing back and forth again. And I'm trying to explain this, and I understand this, debunk it. Couldn't do it. And then later on, there was a group that went through, and this was like a ghosty group, a paranormal investigative group. And this is before I was really doing this professionally. And the gentleman that was leading the group was like, you know, a lot of people misidentify this idea of shadow figures. And I'm like, oh, he's about to debunk this. My experience. And nobody knew what my experience was. And he's like, but in this case, it does look like, you know, as you're looking back there, it does seem to be some sort of light anomaly or shadow, something weird going on there. So that was weird. I felt like that had kind of like validated it somewhat for me. But then I would go back there for other events, and people, without knowing where my experience took place and without ever even heard my experience in some cases, I could send through this area and they would have something similar take place. And that was kind of cool. But there's been a lot of locations where I feel like, since there's not a rule book that we have, since you may be an expert about researching a thing, maybe it's, you know, voodoo, haunted dolls, or, you know, you can be an expert on that research topic, but you're not an expert on the phenomena, because nobody knows what exactly it is and what's going on. So I always try to keep an open mind and always allow for that new thing to take place, and then wonder, well, you know, like, there was, do you want another story?
Absolutely. We love spooky stories.
I was at a location, Virginia City, Nevada.
Oh, I think.
And have you been there?
I have.
Great location.
Very spooky.
I'll be back there in October as part of an event. Tickets still available. Yeah. It's called ComCon, as in Comstock, the Comstock load there. ComCon, and so tickets are still available. Washoe Club is one of the best locations out there. But I was there not at the Washoe Club. I was there at a different location, and I don't know if I'm going to say the name of the location, but it was not well known to be haunted. In fact, it was not really connected to hauntings whatsoever. And it was an old building, at one point had been a fraternal organization, and then taken over by, I believe, a Chinese restaurant, and then that was gone, and then a new owner bought it out and plans to turn it into an event venue. But at the time I was there the first time, nothing had really happened. Some renovation had taken place. The bar downstairs had a new chandelier put in, but it wasn't known to be haunted. But there was an experience there that I was there with other people. I walk into this room just kind of thinking I'm going to be doing sort of ambassador work, shaking hands, saying hi, like, hey, how's everybody having fun? But I sit down for a while, and I do have this experience where I start seeing sort of these shadow movements in this building. It's quite dark. Couldn't explain it. And I am sitting about an arm's length away from a woman I've known for a long time, a friend, a professional. Her name's Mally Fox. She's out there. She's done other shows. She's been on a show called Darkness Radio. And we both have this experience where I'm looking and I see what looks like a form on the ground, hunched over, crawling towards us with its face upturned. And it was somewhat shadowy, but I could make some definition out of it. And to me, it reminded me of the character Gollum from Lord of the Rings. It's this creepy little critter, goblin-like, crawling, skittering across the floor. And at the precise same moment, I jump up and I'm like, probably choice expletives again, but I'm like, holy, there's something crawling towards us. But as I'm trying to say this, there's something crawling towards us, Mally jumps up at the exact same moment, and we're finishing one another's sentence. We're seeing the exact same thing at the exact same time. I wasn't influencing her, or she wasn't influencing me. It wasn't like creating some sort of echo chamber. It was this thing that we both experienced at the same time. And then it dissipated. I don't know. And there was other things that happened that night, and I've been back to that location. I've had other weird, different things happen there. But it was this freaky, unsettling moment, but also exhilarating, but also a reminder of, like, you don't really know what's going on out there.
Wow.
And I also wouldn't say, like, oh, it was evil. It was, people throw around this idea of demonic. I don't think that's the case most of the time. I think that just is like this sexy thing that people throw around. But, like, it's good for views. But I don't know what it was. It was something strange. I couldn't explain it. I couldn't debunk it. That was experienced at the exact same time as someone else. And it just made me think, like, it's a bigger universe out there, and it's a weird universe. And also happening at a place that did not have this track record. We were just looking for a place to send a group of people that night as part of an event. It was not like the famous location like the Wash Up Club.
Yeah. And is ComCon going to go to that spot?
It is likely, yeah. I know for this new ComCon event in October, we are getting into Piper's Opera House there in Virginia City, and that's a good get because people rarely get into that location.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That was really awesome. Check your calendar.
Yeah, so will.
Yeah.
So paranormal investigation is getting big now, right? It's like really kind of hot and popular. What's your philosophy on if you're going to do a paranormal investigation? How do you enter that space?
Well, yeah, so paranormal investigations, it's been around, the idea, the word paranormal was coined right around 1920, and the idea of sort of post-spiritualism, spiritualism emerging around the Civil War era, and then having another big bump around like World War I, that kind of set the tone for what a lot of the concepts we apply in the paranormal. And that continues even to today. Like a lot of the formulas that you see on some paranormal shows, investigative shows, they're hearkening back to those early psychical societies and researchers and everything. But yeah, it continues to be popular in the social media age, on TikTok, on YouTube, and everything. My approach is, first off, clearly, I'm not a guy that's showing up dressing all in black and acting like some alpha male ghost bro, trying to, and I'm not casting aspersions at anyone, but like, I'm a guy that shows up wearing colorful tiki aloha shirts and being chill. And my approach is, first off, go in a location with empathy and respect. Because if you think, whatever you think a ghost is, I don't know precisely what a ghost is, but if you think it is a version of some sort of human that's walked this earth or is popping back in or whatever, even if it's not there, be respectful, because in theory, you're talking to another person, right? And, but I'm also the person that says please and thank you to my Alexa device, because I'm also like, once you start opening yourself up to being a jerk and rude and whatnot, it gets easier to do, you know? So approach with empathy and respect. But also, if you're a ghost and you're hanging out in an old hospital or jail or whatever, and you're used to a bunch of yahoos coming in every Friday night on a paranormal investigation, they're all asking, a lot of people are asking the same questions. They're showing up with a lot of equipment, and what are they not doing? They're not actually trying to engage in a conversation. It's not everybody, but there's a lot of people that kind of approach it that way. And then they go right away into like macabre and dark, like, how did you die? Are you in pain? Do you hate us? You know, like, and I'm like, do you hate here? And I'm like, what the F, man? Like, no, who wants to talk to you? Like, instead, be like, hey, okay, how was the food here? Ask, small talk. If you're seeing someone at a bar or a party or whatever, open with small talk and have a chat. You don't know them. They don't know you. Don't jump right into the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Small talk. Be the person at the party that you want to talk to and see if you can kind of get some sort of interaction. Also, don't be so consumed with gadgets and equipment and the things that are blinky, lighty. Instead, rely on your senses. Let yourself get immersed in the location. Let your eyes adjust to the dark. Listen to the space. What are the explainable sounds? The trains, the birds that are flying around, maybe the bats in the area. Just let your body kind of become like Daredevil, the Marvel Comics character, like attune yourself to the space. And I find you get way more cool experiences like that as well. And for all you trying to get some killer piece of paranormal evidence, it ain't going to happen. You're not going to convince the world of the existence of a ghost. So be on your own personal journey of what you're seeking to experience. And I guarantee you're going to have a cooler experience from, instead of like, yeah, and then that thing blinked. The cooler experience is like, yeah, we were sitting around, we were having a chat, and then I saw something, or I heard something, or whatever. That's a cooler experience.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It's all opinion, it's all theories. I do not speak for the entire paranormal community.
But I think something that you said is so important, and that is to be respectful. And being respectful of any space that you enter, and having maybe like good intentions.
Yes.
Will really
And be present.
bode well for
Right. Yeah.
It's a good rule of life anyhow, but it also I think it yields better results from a potential interaction. And I think if whatever a ghost is, if they want to converse or interact or whatever, if it's out there, they don't want to do it with people that are acting like bullies, probably. Or maybe you can provoke and get a response out of that, but that's kind of a jerk move. Instead, you might get that cool interaction by saying, like, how are the parties here? How was the food? What kind of music are you into? And then also, the other tip is to almost ignore the potential paranormal. Instead, have a chat amongst yourselves, because I have found that sometimes whatever this is wants to be part of the conversation.
Right.
So they might interject,
Maybe they're lonely,
Yeah.
They need a little interaction.
Who knows?
Right. Yeah. So, being that you've been so many places and had all of these things, is there still some particular place that's on your bucket list as like, I've got to go there and check it out?
Well, so I do an event called the Spooky Explorers Club at Disney, and the idea of that is more of a community-based event where we bring people together, we tell stories about spooky Orlando, but also some lore and legends surrounding Disney. But I've not investigated anywhere at Disney. I think that'd be a very cool spot to conduct a paranormal investigation. I don't know that Disney would ever allow it to happen, but I think that'd be a cool spot. And then, honestly, you hear of actors that go film a movie somewhere because they just want to hang out, in Aruba or Paris or wherever. I'm kind of like that with paranormal investigations, too. It's like, because there's history everywhere. So I'm like, just throw me anywhere that's a cool spot that I get to hang out in for a while. Or like, you know, the where we're recording this at the Saint, like, you know, set me up with a room here and I'll do a paranormal investigation because this is a cool place to stay, you know? So, I like my creature comforts, you know? Maybe a good tiki bar, a good cocktail bar. Put me in those places. So those are always on my list.
Gosh, awesome. And so lastly, tell us about your upcoming projects.
Upcoming projects. Well, I have a new book project I'm working on, so won't say too much about that. Paranormal Caught on Camera, we are currently in the midst of season 9, as I'm sharing that we're airing those episodes now, and hopefully more to come. It's a weird world out there within the entertainment industry, as far as not just paranormal, just everything is a very weird time right now in the entertainment industry. But, you know, I'm just trying to get more projects off the ground on my own, and a big passion of mine is this kind of thing, talking to people, getting stories, the exchange back and forth, and also opening up to more cultures in an inviting way. There's a lot of diversity out there, and there's a lot of underrepresentation within the paranormal. So I would like to see more people of color and getting their stories represented from around the world, which is something I think we do well on Paranormal Caught on Camera. Getting people from different orientations in the queer community, getting those stories out there, getting people from different spiritual belief systems and faiths, putting a spotlight on them and sharing those stories in respectful ways. So I'm all about more people into the weird cool and sharing those stories in a respectful way without exploiting those stories. And, you know, as a straight white dude, there's been a lot of people that look like me out there for a while, and I want to keep working, but I would like to get more voices out there and people that don't look like me.
And can you tell us about your podcast a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Cool. Thanks. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, yeah. Okay. If this is time to plug everything. So I do a show called Talking Strange, and it's a paranormal interview show. So my background is as a journalist before the spooky stuff, and I still work as a journalist and write as a journalist. I just kind of do it less these days. But the podcast allows me to interview people and say, well, what's your story? And also, I've been fortunate to have a lot of cool guests like Nick Cage, Sydney Sweeney's been on there. This was prior to the jeans thing. No offense to her or jeans. I don't really care about the jeans. Patton Oswalt, the comedian, but also a lot of researchers like my friend, the author Richard Estep, Jeff Belanger, Dave Schrader, ghosty folks like Amy Bruni, Adam Berry, Chip Coffey, Zach Vegas has been on there. So it's bringing in a lot of different personalities on the show and putting spotlights on whatever they want to share. And I love hearing people's stories, so I would say send those to me, contact@talkingstrange.com. You can write it up, you can record it, send it my way, I'll share it. I also have a new thing called Spooky Travels. It's a column where I talk about some of my spooky travels and then highlight different places, because I think like a lot of people, like I love traveling and I love checking out spooky locales when I do. So that's over at dailydead.com. And I have a thing called Ireland Unseen, irelandunseen.com. And that's kind of cool because we're putting together a trip to Ireland in May 2026. And I've done these kinds of trips before, and what bothers me is it's too jam-packed as far as every day it's a different hotel, and it's like, look at that castle, okay, back on the bus. Or it's so crowded and it's early mornings, and it feels like you don't really get to experience the culture of a place or talk to people. So the goal with this is capping it at 20 people, and we're going to be spending 2 or 3 nights in one hotel and then 2 nights here. And so, spreading it out. And then also having time that, yes, okay, there's Let Castle and there's maybe the Hellfire Club, but also let's go to Sligo and learn about the folklore and the culture of that formed Bram Stoker, or Dracula, or make certain that we have time built in to go hang out with the people and hear their stories instead of... It's a difference between being a tourist and a traveler. Be a traveler. Go have an experience. Meet people. Learn the culture. Bring something with you, but also take away, you know, those stories. That's the intangible joy of travel, and that's really important to me. So, slow travel, small groups, you know, not just cramming it all in to take pictures that you're never going to look at again, but instead really having something that's going to be enriching to you, and hopefully putting something back into those communities. So that's something I'm really proud of. It's called IrelandUnseen.com, and then depending on when this goes up, I'm always around. People should reach out and say hi.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy that we did. So thank you
honored,
so much for your time, spending this time with us and kind of getting to know us. And we have enjoyed every minute of it.
Yes. We're hoping to, you know, maybe go on one of these trips sometime.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
There's a lot. AaronSagers.com. I have my itinerary up, and it's always growing, so check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. We really
Thanks, guys.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on this bonus episode of the You Two Scare Me podcast.
And special thanks to Aaron Sagers, Amy Bebbington, and the Saint Hotel Key West.
And listeners, thank you for wandering through the shadows with us.
Until next time, stay curious and beware what lurks beyond the light.